Sanyan suddenly called out, "Hey, Sanyan, do you remember where Jonathan parked the car earlier?" She nodded instinctively. All right, Sanyan tilted his chin slightly. Lead the way. Lily was still somewhat dazed. She thought that after helping him find his car, he might reciprocate by asking, "Do you want a ride?" Yet, after finding the car, Sanyan only said goodbye and didn't utter another word to her. He showed no intention of offering to accompany her. At first, Lily didn't think much of it. But after observing the surroundings, she realized the restaurant was located in a secluded street. Checking her phone's map, the nearest subway station was several kilometers away. There were hardly any cars passing by, and outside was nothing but darkness. Hesitating, Lily glanced at Sanyan, who had yet to start the car. She braced herself and knocked on the passenger window. A few seconds later, Sanyan rolled down the window, giving her a cold, indifferent look. Lily spoke softly. "Can you give me a lift? It's a bit remote here." Sanyan asked indifferently. "Where do you live?" "Lily, City Garden Complex." "Oh." Sanyan looked away. "Not on my way." Lily had never met someone so petty. She forced a polite smile and said, "I'm not asking you to take me home. Just drop me at the nearest subway station." "I'd really appreciate it." Sanyan stared at her for a few seconds before reluctantly muttering, "Get in." Relieved, Lily climbed into the passenger seat and buckled her seatbelt. Sanyan started the car. The car was oppressively quiet, the confined space amplifying the silence. Sanyan didn't play any music or attempt to engage her in conversation. Feeling awkward about the silence, Lily decided to start a conversation. "Why are you leaving so early? Isn't it a friend's gathering?" Sanyan replied perfunctorily, "Too noisy." Lily wasn't sure if he meant the gathering was noisy or if she was noisy. Her lips parted slightly, but she said nothing more. Turning her gaze outside, Lily watched the scenery zoom past. The streetlights stretched into dazzling streaks of light, blinding and mesmerizing. She drifted into thought. She recalled her conversation with Jonathan earlier in this car. Lily and Jonathan hadn't seen each other for 7 or 8 years. But it wasn't the same with Sanyan. Lily had never mentioned this to anyone. Judging from Jonathan's reaction, it seemed Sanyan hadn't told anyone either. It was like a secret shared only between the two of them. During her second year in high school, Lily moved to Bayou City with her uncle's family due to his job transfer. After that, she lost contact with almost everyone from her old school, except for two, Chloe and Sanyan. Initially, she thought they'd lose touch as well. But at some point, Sanyan started sending her text messages. He didn't engage in small talk or ask questions. Instead, he would simply send her his exam results and rankings after every test. This went on until the end of their second year. When the results of the final exams were released, Lily received a message from Sanyan. She hesitated for a long time before typing out her own results and sending them. Apparently, he hadn't expected her to reply. After a long pause, he finally responded. "Looks like our scores are pretty similar. How about we apply to the same universities?" A moment later, he sent another text. "What do you think?" Lily sighed almost imperceptibly. Noticing they had passed a few subway stations, she reminded him, "I think we went past the nearest station. There's another one a bit further ahead. You can drop me off there." Sanyan replied coolly, "Am I your chauffeur?" Wasn't that what they agreed on earlier? Perhaps annoyed by his own words, Sanyan didn't stop, but kept driving. Lily couldn't help asking, "Where are you taking me?" "Your place," Sanyan replied, his tone tinged with mockery. "Where else?" Lily felt like it was impossible to have a proper conversation with him. Every word he said carried an almost imperceptible edge, making their dialogue feel off. She wanted to have a serious talk with him. But then again, she wondered if there was even a point. Before she knew it, they had arrived at the City Garden Complex. The residential area was over 10 years old, with outdated buildings and facilities. It wasn't very spacious. All the buildings were walk-ups and the management was lax. There were no security guards at the gate and the barrier arm wasn't lowered. Sanyan stopped the car at the entrance, without driving in. Unbuckling her seatbelt, Lily said politely, "Thanks for the ride." I'll treat you to a meal sometime, when you're free. Sanyan leaned against his seat and turned to her with a playful expression. Already planning our next meeting? Lily couldn't help but wonder how charming his so-called bad boy persona really was these days. Did it make him interpret every casual comment as a hidden agenda? Lily gave up and dropped the subject altogether. She opened the car door. Drive safely on your way back. Lily stepped into the residential complex. She lived in the building closest to the gate. A few steps to the right after entering, and she was there. Pulling out her keys, Lily unlocked the main entrance and started climbing the stairs slowly. The building had 6 units per floor. She climbed to the 3rd floor, walked down the corridor to the very end, where her apartment was located. Lily was about to approach her door when she noticed 3 men standing outside her apartment. The pungent smell of alcohol hung heavily in the air. They were smoking and laughing crudely, throwing around dirty jokes and vulgarities. It was unclear if they had just arrived or had been waiting there for a while. The hallway light was broken, and the dim lighting made it hard to make out their faces. However, under the faint glow from outside, Lily could vaguely recognize one of them by his build. It was the man who lived next door. Suddenly, it dawned on her. It had been 5 days since she reported him to the police. She froze. But her keys made a faint noise. The men immediately turned to look at her. The man with the tiger tattoo grinned. Hey, pretty lady, you're back? Lily felt a growing unease. She didn't know why they were loitering here. Brothers, this is the pretty lady who reported me for harassment, the tattooed man sighed, his voice raspy and hoarse. Can you believe that? I just knocked on her door, and that counts as harassment. Miss, maybe you've never experienced it for real, another man teased. Want to know what true harassment feels like? Without saying a word, Lily turned and headed downstairs. Why's she running away? How should I know? Hey, pretty lady, we're not doing anything. Can't we just chat? Don't be so uptight, pretty lady. I just want us to get along as neighbors. No need to be so hostile. As they spoke, they started following her down the stairs. Their strides were long, their laughter unsettling. The dim corridor made the situation feel even more sinister. Lily didn't even have time to pull out her phone to call the police. She reached the ground floor, yanked open the building's front door, and sprinted toward the complex's main gate. She thought of seeking help from the security guard but remembered that the booth was empty when she returned earlier. The complex wasn't in a remote area, and a food street was just a short walk away. Lily decided that getting to a crowded place would be her best option. The footsteps behind her grew closer.